Welcome to Health Options. Snakes coexist with humans in homes, gardens, and outhouses, but their presence usually goes unnoticed. Although human-snake interactions has always been associated with different outcomes. Of great concern to us, however, is the negative ones such as deformity and loss of life. The case of the pregnant woman who died from a snake bite in Kaduna is one many will not forget in a hurry. On this week's episode of Health Options, we have useful packages on how to keep snakes away from homes, the do's and don'ts about snake bites, just as we get to bring you the various snake repellent plants you can grow around your homes and other environments. You may not be able to control the dust on the streets, but you can control the ones around your environment. By the way, how are you coping with the current weather? As you know, excessive exposure to the cold and dryness that comes with the current weather in some parts of the country can increase the risk of illnesses. You will get to know about those common illnesses and how you can protect yourself and your loved ones. If you are just joining us, this is Health Options, and we are taking a look at the adverse effect of the current weather condition on the health of humans. And in the studio to take us through the topic is Dr. Kingsley Osage, Chief Consultant Pulmonologist at the National Hospital here in Abuja. Dr. Osage, thanks for coming on Health Options.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so how do we describe this current weather? You know, some days back, it had been all chilly, dusty, and windy, and all of a sudden we're feeling hot, and it's still really, really chilly in some parts of the country, particularly in the northeast and the northwest.
Thank you very much. This weather we are all experiencing now is supposed to span through a particular period from maybe end of November, end of February. And sometimes it dovetails into maybe first or second week of March. That's it. So during this period, we are going to be experiencing extreme weather conditions. But of course, it's not going to remain the same at the same level. It will wax and wane, because this is the weather is brought about by the wind coming from the northeast, you know, towards the southwest. And of course, as it's coming, this cold, dry, and dusty. So it is going to come in waves. So we just experienced one wave that passed. And of course, because we know that this is a period, you must be prepared for another wave, because there will still be another wave of cold, dry, extreme weather conditions. Okay, so it's not yet over.
Okay,
so we must keep
quickly take us through those common illnesses that are very, that people tend to, get hit with.
Yeah, during this extreme weather situation, there are diseases that, yes, they were with us before, but they increase.
You are a pulmonologist, which means you deal with respiratory tract infections. So how is it on the increase, and how?
Yes, for respiratory diseases, it's, of course, this is the time we see a lot of patients coming down with things like common colds, we have asthma, bronchial asthma exacerbation, that commonly you call asthmatic attack. Okay, you have people with pre-existing disease conditions like COPD coming down with, what we call exacerbation. And you also have other, diseases like pneumonia, people coming down with pneumonia. And of course, because of the crowd, people living in a crowded environment, and again, because of the extreme heat, you see a lot of, because people cough and spit it out, they become quickly aerosolized, and then of course you breathe in and all that. And you also have disease like even meningitis creeping in around the same period. So all this makes life a bit, very difficult for people at this particular point in time.
Okay, so how do we build our immunity against all of us at this particular point in time?
Of course, the first thing, natural way of building it is good nutrition. Very good nutrition. You need to eat balanced diet, really. Of course, fat, carbohydrate, protein, and of course you have a lot of vegetables and vitamins. And above all, you must drink enough fluid to keep yourself hydrated. Okay. Then of course you can also help yourself by getting immunized against some common diseases that occurs in this time. Like I mentioned, people coming down with pneumonia, even meningitis and all that. And of course, the exacerbations of acute bronchial asthma and
you mentioned
bronchitis
pneumonia.
and all that.
Were you referring to the case of children or the adult population too?
Yes, but of course, the children are more affected at this point in time. But they can also affect adults and the elderly. So no age group is actually the same, but it is worse amongst children and the elderly. And of course, that is very easy to imagine because the children have poor immunity.
Yes.
And of course, as you are growing older, the immunity is also, getting reduced. But you can help yourself by getting yourself immunized. You can get pneumococcal vaccine, you can get influenza vaccine, So, and this vaccine really, for children, is being provided by the government. Okay, and so I will use this opportunity to advise parents to take advantage of that, so that we go to nearby health centers, primary health centers, and get the children immunized against these diseases. So even if they get exposed, the effect is not as severe as it should be. Okay? Yes. Then, if you don't have any business to do outside, you better stay indoors and keep yourself warm, because if you go outside, you're going to meet this extreme weather condition. Even inside, you will meet, but of course, you can keep yourself warm by wearing good clothes, getting yourself dehydrated, and of course, keep the environment warm. For this is the time when people can even use house heater, to keep the whole place warm, so that people can be able to withstand the extreme weather condition. And of course, during this period, the metabolic rate, that is the rate at which when you eat, break down your food, is even increased, because we need to produce a lot of heat to combat it. So you see that you will need more food.
So people should eat more food.
You eat more, because if you don't eat, then you get it burnt. You can't get energy.
Okay, so you need to generate body.
You only need to generate energy so that you can be able to cope with the weather condition.
But what have you got to say about the advice that people should take lots of hot fluids rather than indulging in cold drinks and all of that?
Well, warm drinks is okay. Well, because if you take cold drinks at that particular point in time, you may just have some, maybe spasms and all that. But it's not that cold drink is particularly contraindicated. So if you still want to drink, why not? You can drink. But the most important thing, you're drinking enough, and of course you're keeping yourself warm.
I'm particular about the cold drink thing, because if you say we should drink enough water to remain hydrated, and people go taking cold drinks, even chilled water from the fridge and all of that, there's a difference between when you take a cup of tea, a hot cup of tea, or a cup of warm water, and then when you take a chilled glass of water. Yes.
We encourage people to take warm drinks. Warm water, tea, coffee, and all that to keep warm. I agree with you on that. But I don't encourage you to just depend. Some people even swallow, what do you call it, ice blocks during this period. They were in the bid to get school. And of course,
why would anybody do that?
Yes, there's a misconception that actually this ice block and all that causes pneumonia. No, it doesn't cause pneumonia. But it can make if someone has
for someone with a flu, should not be seen taking cold water.
Because
that's the point I'm trying to make.
It can make the condition worse.
Yes.
If you take those very cold water, but it's not the cause of pneumonia. It must be established.
No, I'm not talking about pneumonia here. Because in some parlors we've been asked to keep away from cold drinks, especially if you have, like, if you are coughing. You
Yes, of
actually
course.
don't have any business with cold drink.
No, you don't have, because it's going to make the
Or
condition
sore
worse.
throat.
If you take cold drinks at that particular point in time, it will make
It will aggravate your
worse.
condition.
Yes.
Okay.
We advise you to stay away from taking cold drinks at that particular point in time.
You just keep warm.
You can keep
What
warm,
about
take
exercise?
teas.
What sort of exercise should people
Oh,
engage in right now?
this time exercise is very good. You can take walk. If you have the space.
With the streets all dusty?
No, you can walk even indoors. Some people feel that until you walk on the streets, you can do. All you need is if you have a pedometer, that can count the number of steps. You can, even in your room, you can go round, around, and then you sweat. As long as you sweat, you've done very good exercise. Okay?
So exposure to dust can really trigger a lot of things from what you've said so far.
Yes, exposure to dust, because this dust comes in different sizes. The very small size can go down to your lungs and get stuck in there, and thereby causing inflammation, and of course that's what leads to pneumonia.
Okay, on a final note, just as a pulmonologist, what would be your last word to Nigerians?
Well, I deal with chest diseases, so this period, just as we observed at the beginning of the program, that it appears to have warmed up, but don't take it for granted, because the extreme weather can come back before the end of the period that's specified, from end of November to end of February. So you must be on the lookout. Always keep yourself warm. Always, if you don't have any business to go out, you stay indoors. And of course, drink adequate fluids. Get yourself immunized. And of course, yes, and of course, sometimes you may have to cover wear face mask to prevent this dust from getting to you. And of course, if you have pre-existing disease condition, like bronchial asthma and chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases, this is the time to hold your medication tightly to yourself, because the difference between the time you go and start going back to the house, you forgot your medication here and there.
Like the inhaler.
Yes, your inhaler. That time that gap can cost life. So I advise that you take it along with you and use it regularly as prescribed.
A lot of people actually encourage us to take more of vitamin C rich fruits and food.
Yes. So, in fact, vitamin C rich, like oranges, and all that, is quite good at this particular point in time. It will help us to combat the cold and the extreme weather.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Sage, for coming on Health Options.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Reptiles, especially snakes, are also not immune to the effect of the current weather. And in their search for a more conducive habitat, their paths usually cross with that of humans, with bitter outcomes. Nature indeed has a remedy for everything. So let's now go over to our nature scanner for the various plants you can grow around your environment, talking about snake-repellent plants.
And if we look at the history, ancestral history, and ethnobotanical history or ethnobiological history of the use of herbs to ward off snakes, we can actually select some plants or some herbs that will ward off snakes, and there are also some of these that have been scientifically proven in laboratories. Generally, there are some herbs like lemongrass that anywhere you find them, it ethnobotanically and biologically, it has been proven that snakes hardly survive, or they do not like to reside in such an environment. The aroma from lemongrass is good, and I mean, as humans, we like it, and then so luckily snakes don't like it. Scientifically, garlic and onion have been proven to ward off snakes. In fact, there are patents to this effect, and there are products, scientific products that are available for a spray to ward off a snake from the environment. So raw garlic and raw onion, individually, if you plant onions in your environment, it wards off a snake. If you have garlic in your environment, it wards off a snake. It has been proven that mucuna seeds is one of the seeds that ward off snakes from the environment. So plant it in your environment. Annona is also one of the herbs that you can use to ward off snake from your environment. So generally, at this period, since what we do is to encourage people to use a natural method in taking care of our health.
Some experts have also advised that pouring at least a cup of salt in your water closet, WC, will serve as poison to any dangerous reptiles around your soakaway pit. Now, check out our tips on the do's and don'ts in the event of snake bite.
You have a lot of bushy around your house. You are attracting snakes to come and hide there. The second issue is when you have a lot of leftover food that can attract rats. You know, rats are closer to the house. They want to feed on your remnant. And once they do that, the snake will want to prey on the rat. So that's another attraction, whereby you see snake coming and moving around the houses. So another thing is when you have cracks in house, you need to fill it up or block it, because snake can sneak in and hide inside the crack. And from there, when opportunity provides itself, it comes out and it can wreak havoc. The do's and don'ts, there are many. You keep your environment clean. For those who engage in farming or harvesting, you recall that when you go to the farm, women, the men, they cut trees to make firewood in the rural areas, and they pile it down. So by the time you want to go there, don't just go and carry it with your bare hand. So it's either you first of all beat the place to ensure that nothing is there. If there are snakes or anything, or rat or any animal, by the time you beat it, it runs away. Then you must also ensure that you wear gloves, hand gloves, and boots. These are some of the things that you need to use as farmers or hunters as you go by, so that even if you trample upon snake, if it strikes, it will not affect you. What shouldn't be done is for you to carry the patient immediately. You need to lay him flat, reassure him. We call it immobilization, so that the area that is beaten will not just be swinging. By the time you are swinging it, it is creating more problem for the patient. So what we do is to do a mini first aid treatment. And the first aid treatment is the fact that you lay him down, you reassure him, and get him to the nearest hospital immediately so that a professional will handle the case. In the situation whereby you tie tourniquet, the act of using stick, then tie rope and knot it to the extent that there won't be blood flow is causing more damages than solving the problem. And that's why most victims' leg or hand are being amputated. Then another thing that you shouldn't do is to patronize locals. It's not as if we are running the traditional practitioner down, but in most cases what you observe is that people don't go to the hospital immediately. They must have gone from one traditional house to the other, or go to malams to pray or churches to pray, and when the situation gets worse, that's when they run to the hospital. By that time, it's too late. So that's why you see them being amputated. Secondary infection must have entered, and this causes a lot of disfiguration and amputation. There are a lot of local practices like incision, incantation, using mouth to suck the place. These are things that should not be promoted at all, because by the time you are sucking, you are also taking the poison into yourself. Part of it will get into you. There have been instances where somebody sucked and unconsciously took it. So this is very dangerous and should be avoided. And incision is another problem too. It should not be promoted. It should be avoided. And some people also put garlic, put onions, a whole lot of things that once you put cola, put bitter cola, that was of snakes. All these have no medical proof. So until we get scientific proof that this thing works, this could not be promoted. That's why we said the one that we know is what we should promote it. What we are trying to do is the fact that in the Ministry of Health now, we are collaborating with the new Department of Traditional Medicine in the ministry. So we are collaborating with them. Most of these claims will be given out. Some say they have powder that can treat snake bite or that can ward off snakes. So we get all this, we subject it to researches and see what we can come up with from that. And anyone that we find effective, the ministry will not hesitate to promote it. And if it works, we disseminate the information appropriately to Nigerians.
Hope you've been well educated on issues revolving around keeping the environment safe from snake bites and on the information we have given to you on this episode of Health Options. And that's how it has been on this episode of the program. A reminder that you can go to our YouTube channel for the upload of this and other episodes of the program. Email us for your comments and contributions at healthoptions@nta.gov.ng. My name is Rabi Abdullah. Think safety. Hope to see you again.
Slavery is an evil practice abolished all over the world over 200 years ago. But today, human traffickers are selling human beings as slaves in Africa. It is your responsibility to make sure that you and the people you know do not fall into slavery. Don't believe fake promises of jobs abroad.
People went to say Libya, Italy no use you when they carry me on top water. 4 days now they lock me for inside house, no food, no water. I nearly die. Now God, when me heaven and earth, now save me. If you get 1 naira for Nigeria, you get junior one, you say you no get papa, you no get mama, now make you come out. I beg go they do farm work. You better pass person when enter road.
Don't accept to travel to Europe through the Sahara Desert. You may be walking into slavery. Don't be a slave.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
Imagine a station where you access information. Think of a station that creates awareness for national development. Imagine a station that prepares you for a bright and greater future. A station for all ages. Documentaries, classroom and television, events coverage, children's programs and variety shows. Always stay tuned to NTA Knowledge on the StarTimes platform, channel 359. For partnership, sponsorship and advert placements, contact us on NTA Knowledge. NTA Knowledge, learning to broaden horizon.
Social media is like a big notice board in the marketplace. What you put on it, everybody will see.
One major definition of integrity is that you should do the right thing even if nobody is looking at you.
At what point do we as a people stand still and say, no, we no longer want money to become that thing that determines who we choose as leaders?
We are 50% of the population, and I really feel that it would make a lot of difference, a big boost to our development if there were more women participation.
Thank you for tuning in. I am Lydia Odije Ochi.
Ignatius Nkwo for Deadline 360.
In Kano, Fatima Sanusi Karaye, Deadline 360.